Is Kamala Harris's father a Marxist? An NBC fact check says he's not. Snopes says he is. So who's right? Welcome to Newspeak. I'm Kellum. After Donald Trump's last debate against Joe Biden, I got asked to fact check not only the candidates, but the fact checkers as well. So here's the claim I'm going to fact check today.
She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well.
To start with, Marxism refers to theories by Karl Marx, who laid the foundation for the political and economic system we know as communism. He advocated for things like a classless society, which in his theory could only be achieved by abolishing private wealth and having the government own all the means of production. I looked at a few fact checks on this that were already out there, and there wasn't a clear consensus. However, I'm going to argue that there is a clear answer to this question. So to start with, Kamala Harris's father, Donald Harris, was an economics professor who eventually got tenure at Stanford University. NBC News claimed he wasn't a Marxist because some of his former students said he wasn't. But if you ask his students over 30 years ago, well, they might say something else. Students in the economics department at Stanford University wrote in the Stanford Daily in 1976 that he was a Marxian scholar. The article was pushing back against faculty concern about Marxist philosophy seeping into the economics department. USA Today called Harris's father a post-Keynesian economist who has written on Marxist theory. So what's post-Keynesian economics, you ask? Well, the grandfather of it, John Maynard Keynes, was probably most famous for advocating for government intervention and deficit spending during times of crisis. Think of the New Deal during the Great Depression. Post-Keynesians, which grew out of the Keynesian tradition, are those who believe, among other things, that free market economies can never achieve full employment. They also believe that cuts to wages are ineffective at improving the unemployment rate because wage cuts decrease demand for goods and services. Now, Snopes has agreed with Trump, saying, taking a closer look at Harris's work and the economic school of thought he professed, we were able to confirm that he inscribed himself in Marx's intellectual tradition.
Don has done major work on Marxian theories and post-Keynesian theories of accumulation, and he's recently been focusing on problems of uneven development.
The New Yorker also describes him as a renowned Marxist economist from Jamaica, while USA Today says his economic philosophies are often grounded in Marxist theory. The Washington Post described him as coming from an academic steeped in Marxist theory. However, some, like NBC News, have suggested that Donald Harris's views on economics are irrelevant because Kamala Harris has credited her mother for being the parent who shaped her into the person she is today. Now, it's true that from about age 8 onwards, she didn't live with her father. She also reportedly is estranged from her father, and despite both living in DC, doesn't seem to have met with him as vice president, at least not publicly. But that doesn't mean his beliefs didn't influence her in any way. Donald Harris met Kamala Harris's mother, Shyamala Gopalan, at a Black study group called the African American Association at UC Berkeley. One of the members of the association went on to found the Black Panther Party, a Marxist-Leninist group that advocated Black power but in a militant framework. It advocated for things like a guarantee of full employment by the federal government and communalizing Black housing if white landlords couldn't provide decent housing. After the couple separated, the New York Times says that it was the members of this Black study group who helped raise Harris and her sister Maya. A member of the group, Margot Daschle, said she was certain that some influence of the study group survived in the Harris children. The thinking within the association was deep, she said. You would look at what are the underlying causes of the problems that we find ourselves in as Black people, and that is something that would have translated through these families to Kamala. So does that mean that, as Trump claims that Kamala Harris is also a Marxist? Well, I didn't really get into that because it is a whole other ball of wax, but if you want me to do a separate fact check on that, please let me know in the comments below. Once again, I'm Kellum, and you're watching Newspeak.